So with just some new functions, so you'll see it in terms of like f and g. So it'll tell you do f plus g or f minus g or f times g. Please note that when you see f and g next to each other, that is the same thing as multiplication, and then f over g or f divided by g, okay? So let's look at example 1. It says let f of x be equal to 3 root x and g of x equal to negative 10 root x. Find f plus g of x and state the domain. All right, so all you are doing when it says f plus g is you are just adding up these two equations. So I'm doing f of x plus g of x. Okay, f of x is 3 root x. So 3, I'm just going to write it below it. 3 root x plus negative 10 root x, because that's f and g. You don't have to do anything crazy here. You got 3 root x's and negative 10 root x's. How many root x's in total do I have? Negative 7. So you just combine like terms here when you're adding. And so my answer, we're going to write it like it asks. Notice it says f plus g of x. So we're going to write it like that. Oh dang it, I already messed it up. F plus g of x is equal to negative 7 root x. That's your answer. So we just added them together and combined like two terms where we can. The second part of this problem is to state the domain. Okay, because we have the domain of f plus g, we look at f and g separately, and we take the one that's most restrictive. So f of x is, we know, 3 root x. If you remember from the section we just did, 6.2, to find the domain of a root, you take what's inside and make it greater than or equal to 0, because we don't want this to be negative. So we want x, or whatever's inside, to be greater than or equal to 0, otherwise you have I. We don't want I, right? Don't want to take the square root of a negative. So what we're saying is the domain, we want the x values of the domain of f is, we want the x values to be greater than or equal to 0, otherwise you get an I, and that's unfortunate. Can't graph that. So then we'll look at g of x. G of x is negative 10 root x. What's going to be the domain on this one? Same thing. We want, again, we want the inside to be positive or 0. And so we'd say, okay, the domain of g, we want to be the same thing. Domain of g has to be greater than or equal to 0. And now we look at them together. So if I have the domain of f plus g, and you can kind of see it here. Notice this is f plus g, negative 7 root x. We want x to be the same, greater than or equal to 0. So that doesn't actually change anything. Just because you added them together, it's actually the same kind of function. It's a root function, so the domain should be the same. Okay, let's look at number 2. This time you have f and g side by side. What operation is that? Multiplication. So you're doing f times g, so f of x times g of x. Okay, f of x is x squared. G of x is square root of x. You can't really do anything. And so you're going to put them side by side. You'd say, okay, when I have fg of x, I get x squared root x. So that's the answer. A very minimal amount of effort here. Okay, and then state the domain. This one is where it gets a little interesting. So the domain here, the domain of, let's see, f of x is your x squared, which is what kind of function? This is one we've done all year. Quadratic. So it's a parabola. It goes forever to the left, forever to the right. if it's a parabola. What's the domain on a parabola? If it goes forever both ways. It's all real numbers. Meaning that you can have anything you want. Another way to think about it, if I have x squared, there's nothing I can put there that's going to be like a problem. The reason why it was a problem on the previous one is because you don't want to take the square root of a negative. That causes a problem, right? There's nothing you can do to x squared that's going to cause a problem. So the domain of f is all real numbers. Okay, we'll do the domain of g before you go to lunch. G of x is the square root of x. We just did this. If I have a root function, we want that to be greater than or equal to 0. So the domain of g is greater than or equal to 0. Okay, we'll talk about the domain of all of it together when we get back. This is this one. It's like mom saying you got to be home at midnight. And so we'll write our final answer here. The domain, so looking at both of them, the domain of f times g is that one. Okay? Don't make mom mad. You got to go with the one that's more strict, right? Okay. On number 3, you are adding k plus p. Okay, biggest mistake that I see on these kind of problems is my students just don't pay attention to the letters. So it's k and p. So make sure you choose k and p. So you're doing k plus p, so k of x plus p of x. And we look and see, okay, what's k and p? K is x minus 1. You will see me put this in parentheses. That's how they'll do it on Delta Math as well, because when you have multiplication or subtraction, it's pretty important to do that, okay? And so then let's look at p is x squared plus x minus 3. Okay. We're adding these two together. How do you do this? Don't overcomplicate it. How do you do something like this? You've done this before. Just add it up, right? Just combine like terms. You can take them out of parentheses first if you want, but there's really no need because I've got, oh, that's not a like term. It's like this one. So 1x and 1x, and then you've got -1 and -3. Obviously, x squared doesn't have any like terms, but you're adding them together, so that's part of it. So our final answer here, k plus p of x, that's how it has it, so that's how I'm going to write it, is equal to, okay, x to the third, or sorry, x squared, let's keep it in standard form. How many x's? 2? And then -1 plus -3 is -4. Really is that easy. Okay. Next time we're doing subtraction, p minus h. So make sure you choose the right ones. We're doing p of x minus h of x. It's just a different way to write it. So we're doing, and again, let's use parentheses because subtraction, that's important. X squared plus x minus 3 minus, what is h of x? 2x plus 1. Okay, it's been a minute since we did this. How do you do subtraction like this? What do you do with that minus sign? Distribute your minus sign, please. Whoop, whoop. So x squared plus x minus 3. And then we're going to distribute that, so it becomes minus 2x minus 1. Maybe you can do that in your head. If so, I think that's great. But if not, that's fine too. And again, combine your like terms, right? So we're going to write our full answer out. We say p minus h of x is equal to x squared minus 1x minus 4. Woo, 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 woo. Number 5 is asking for multiplication. So you're doing h of x times k of x. My h and k look pretty similar. Oh well, okay. H of x again is 2x plus 1. So put these in parentheses, please. So 2x plus 1 times x minus 1. You've done this. How do you multiply something like this? Foil, yes. First, outer, inner, last, or double distribute, or box method, whatever you do, you guys are good at this. If you're like, I don't know what you're talking about, let me remind you, right? 2x times x is 2x squared. So you have binomials 2x times negative 1. 1 times x. 1 times negative 1. And if you used the box method before and you want to do that again, that's great. If you can do it without, that's great. Just make sure you combine like terms when you're done. So your answer is hk, whoa, that does not look like an h, hk of x is equal to 2x squared minus 1x minus 1. I think, right? Yeah. Okay, p divided by k. So you're doing p of x divided by k of x, which is, let me look back. So x squared plus x minus 3 divided by x minus 1. All right. Here's the cool part. The top part does not factor. You can't simplify this down any further. That is your answer. Sweet, right? But we have to do this part. It says determine the domain. So you could look at p of x and k of x separately, or you can just look at the function itself. So when we have roots, we know that we want the roots to be we don't want the roots to be negative. What you have here is you have division. So think about a denominator. There's one number in math that you don't want to divide by. A number, a real number. What real number do we not want to divide by? 1 is fine. 0. Yeah, because when you divide by 0, do you remember what you get? No, not 0. Okay, when you divide by 0, if you look over here. No, you cannot divide by 0, you get undefined. That's like some algebra 1 stuff. We haven't done a lot like this. So you do not want the denominator to be 0, because then you get something undefined. And so you have to say, okay, what number would cause that x minus 1 to be 0? 1. Okay. If you need to write out some notes, we're saying we do not want to divide by 0. Which means that if that's a 1, 1 minus 1 would give me 0. So all you're really doing is saying, okay, if x minus 1 is equal to 0, then x would be 1. So that means that the domain here of p divided by k, you don't need to do them separately. The domain of p divided by k is everything except for 1. Like everything is fine except for 1, because if you have 1, what are you gonna get? 0. And that is a problem. Okay. So you're doing f times g, f of x times g of x, because they're side by side. Oops, that's not g. So f of x, let's put this in parentheses. F of x is 5x squared y to the 5th. G of x is negative 2xy squared z to the 4th. Okay, and you need to remember your rules of exponents. When I have an expression like this, the first thing we'll deal with is the 5 and the negative 2. It's multiplication. What do I do with those? Just multiply them. You get negative 10. So we're going to get our answer here. So f of fg of x is equal to negative 10. Okay, and then when I have the same base in multiplication, what do I do with my exponents? You add your exponents, you're totaling them up, and so it's x squared times x to the first. So how many x's? 3. X to the third. Sorry, that's kind of unclear. And then same thing with y's. Y to the 5th. Y to the 2nd. That would give me add them up. Y to the 7th. And then there's no z's on the other expression, but you do have 4. You're not doing domain in anything here. You've got x, y's, and z's. We don't do domain on that. So that's your answer. Okay, let's see if you can remember how to do something like number 8. Sorry. F divided by g. So same things, but now f divided by g. F of x divided by g of x. again, is a good review. So 5x squared y to the 5th divided by negative 2x y squared z to the 4th. Okay, this isn't a big fraction, and you try and simplify it, right? The x on the bottom has a 1. There's one of them. Unfortunately, 5 and negative 2 cannot simplify. What do you do when you have the same base in division? Do you remember? Subtract your exponents. So on these ones, this is division, so you subtract. This was add. Okay, so you can cancel out or you can subtract, right? I've got 1 on the bottom, take away 1 on the top. You can't see this super well, sorry. 2 on the bottom, so subtract, that leaves me with 3 on the top. And rewrite your final answer, please, as f divided by g of x. We should have 5x y to the 3rd over negative 2 z to the 4th. That's as simple as it gets. Can you please try the last one? Okay, so same rule, right? Subtract, but then you get negatives. So remember, you can also just cancel out or subtract from the bigger one. So that leaves you with, again, 1 on the bottom and 3 on the bottom, because you're taking away the stuff from the top this time. And canceling out the overlap is another way to think about your subtraction. Your final answer should look like this. X, y to the 3rd. Before you put this away, can you please look for me at these two problems? So look at number 8 and number 9. Oh, is it 4th power? Hold on. Why did I do that? I don't know. Okay, now look at them. 8 and 9. What do you notice? They're the same, just swapped. How come? F over G, G over F. Okay. So you really didn't have to do any of that work on the second one. You could have just flipped it upside down. Okay, lesson learned.